Rink Wide Vancouver, pre-game, post-game, every game presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at bodog.net. Wadden and JPat here with you with another edition of the pre-game show as the Montreal Canadiens come to town, JPat, but the Canucks looking to put the drama off the ice aside and try to build off that win over the Coyotes on Saturday.
Yeah, easier said than done. This drama's not going away, but Brock Boeser is going to play. I know we'll get to the lineup change here in a sec. The Canucks got the win ultimately the other night against Arizona, but don't mistake the result with playing well. They did not play particularly well for a large portion of that game against the Coyotes. They're going to have to up their game. We know that the homestand wraps up tonight, a chance to finish off 2-2, which in the big picture isn't a great homestand, but certainly after dropping those first two to Washington and Florida, a chance at least to salvage a 500 homestand.
All right, let's get to the lineup change now, presented by our friends at Delaney's OK Tire out on Fraser Highway in Langley. You mentioned Boeser. Looks like he's going to get in, but somebody was missing from the blue line today, and perhaps a big name that they could be missing tonight.
Yeah, and you're alluding to Quinn Hughes. We'll talk about him in a sec. But yes, Brock Boeser stays in the lineup. He doesn't get back in the lineup because he never was the healthy scratch that it looked like he was going to be on Saturday with all the twists and turns. And of course, he scores that third period goal. And he scored on a line with Elias Pettersson, and look at that. He's going to stay, at least to start. He's getting the bump that he's looking for. He's going to play with Pettersson, and Mikheyev will be the other winger on that line. So that means Andrei Kuzmenko drops down to essentially the third line with Sheldon Dries and Connor Garland. The top line stays intact with Nils Höglander skating alongside Bo Horvat and JT Miller. And then your fourth line, Jack Studnicka, is going to stay in. Dakota Joshua, who was the late scratch the other night, he was back on the ice this morning, but it doesn't look like Joshua is going to play, although I think we learned our lesson the other day. Maybe we all wait until warm-up to know exactly what the Canucks lineup is going to be. But for Quinn Hughes, he was nowhere to be seen this morning at the morning skate, and then obviously that raises some concerns to think about the Vancouver Canucks trying to get through a stretch without Quinn Hughes. Bruce Boudreau saying after the morning skate, some bumps, some bruises. The guy logged 30 minutes and 5 seconds of ice time the other night against Arizona, including overtime. So a season high for Quinn Hughes. The hope is he's going to play, but this is one that we are going to have to monitor until the puck drops tonight.
Now, we know there'll be a lot of Habs fans in attendance tonight at Rogers Arena. Canucks have not started games well on this homestand. Going to want to get off on the right foot, especially with that 50-50 crowd.
Yeah. Now, remember, it wasn't that long ago we were pumping up the fact they had scored first in 6 straight games. So on the homestand, they have yet to score the game's first goal, but it goes deeper than just the first goal. They haven't played very well in a lot of these games, and certainly didn't play well against the Capitals. The bounce-back game was supposed to be the Florida game, and we know what happened there. That was a disaster. And then the other night fell behind early to Arizona. They tied the game up, but then fell behind again in the second period. So it would be nice to see the Canucks get a jump on an opponent, get a lead, and try to dictate the way the game is played. They did that a little bit out on the road trip, but they haven't done it here in front of their home fans. And you're right, there's going to be a lot of red, white, and blue in the building, so it may sort of feel like a home game for the Montreal Canadiens fans. The Canucks want to win over those neutral fans that go to the rink and they're not sure which team to cheer for, and we'll see how that all plays out once things get going. At 7:30, it's a 7:30 start tonight, by the way, at Rogers Arena.
And a couple of significant marks could be achieved tonight for Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat.
Yeah, I like big round numbers. I'm a numbers guy, you know that. Sometimes the numbers hurt. These ones don't, though. Elias Pettersson with a chance to reach 30 points on the season. And this is the 26th game of the year for the Canucks. So I was thinking to myself, how long did it take him to get to the 30-point mark last year? Because we know that the first half of the season was a struggle for Elias Pettersson and many others. This is the 1-year anniversary of the house cleaning and the coaching and management changes. And of course, Elias Pettersson picked things up after about mid-January last year. Took him till game 51 to reach 30 points. This is game 26. So he's basically cut that in half. And he's had a nice season. Those first games of the homestand, not so much, but he was involved in the offense the other night, set up Horvat for the Canucks' first goal with that slap pass off the wing. And for Horvat, well, we know one of the league's top goal scorers this year. Got 19 after 2 the other night, including the winner, so he could reach the 20-goal mark if things go his way. And I was looking at his last 82 regular season games, he scored 45 goals. So just gives you an idea of what's possible for Bo Horvat if he continues on the pace. Well, if he's on the pace, he'll crush 45 goals, but that maybe is the mark he should be shooting for one at a time, and his next one will be 20, so he has a chance to reach the 20-goal mark in front of the home fans tonight.
You mentioned game 26. This is where Bruce Boudreau took over last year. We all know how that run took off for Boudreau, but a little different circumstances right now.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'd all love another Bruce bump here. Won 7 in a row, and remember, it started with a shutout win at home against the Los Angeles Kings. Brock Besser scored twice that night, so maybe game 26 will get Brock Besser going, because he does have to follow up the good third period, and overtime he had that chance as well. But for Bruce Boudreau, he wants to get a run of games here. Well, when he took over the Vancouver Canucks, they were listless, they were going nowhere. That's why they made the change. They won 7 in a row, 8 of his first 9. Remember, he was 8-0-1 in his first 9 games as head coach. So we'll see if they can replicate that kind of stretch here over the Christmas period. It's going to be a challenge, but take them one at a time. They did get the win against Arizona the other night, so at least the result was something to build on.
And the Habs have been good this year, surprisingly enough, and they're coming off a loss, though, to Edmonton, but they've been good as of late.
Yeah, they come into town with a better record than the Canucks. Canucks have 10 wins on the season. Montreal is at 12-11-1, and I think that's kind of, in that mushy middle in the Eastern Conference. But as you said, I mean, where are the expectations for the Montreal Canadiens? They're a young team. They've committed to the rebuild, even though they got to the Stanley Cup final in the COVID season a couple of years ago. They lost the other night because McDavid and Draisaitl and the Oilers' power play decided to take over that hockey game. They fell 5-3 in Edmonton on Saturday, but they've won 3 of their last 5, 4 of their last 7, so they are experiencing some success. They've got that winning feeling a fair bit recently, and they are trying to build to bigger things for the Montreal Canadiens.
And they got some young guns as well. They're led by Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, and of course, the first overall pick, Yuri Slafkovsky, first chance to get a look at him.
Yeah, now, Suzuki and Caulfield quickly becoming the faces of this storied franchise. You can't let those two guys beat you. They each have 13 goals. Nobody else on the Montreal roster has more than 5 this season. So if you hold those two guys in check, you stand a pretty good chance of winning. The challenge is that not many teams are holding those two in check. And for Canuck fans, and for the Canucks themselves, this will be the first time that they see Slafkovsky. Remember, he was suspended for 2 games for a check from behind when the Canucks were in Montreal. That was a forgettable portion of that Eastern road trip. The Canucks were not very good that night, and the Habs were full value for the victory. But first chance for Vancouver hockey fans to see the guy that went first overall, has 4 goals in 19 games, was a youngster getting his feet wet in the National Hockey League, and again, a big building block for this Montreal team in the years ahead.
And Sean Monahan looks like he's got some life rejuvenated in Montreal, if you will.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that was a salary dump on behalf of the Calgary Flames, and I think it was. And I'm not sure what kind of expectations the Canadiens had for Monahan or the hockey world, but you know what? All things considered, 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points in the 24 games that he's played. Like, it's not a terrible pace for a guy who you did wonder a little bit about where his game was at this stage of his career. So, now he's a veteran, he's a mentor, but he's also a contributor for a hockey club, as we said, that has as many wins as it does losses in the first 24 games that it's played this season.
Well, that brings me now to my Bodog Best Bet. And JPat, I like the Habs tonight, and I like the value behind them on the money line at plus 170. Yes, they're coming off that loss to the Oilers, but they beat the Flames pretty good the other night. And this Montreal team, like I mentioned earlier, they're surprising a lot around the league, and honestly, they're a pretty damn good team.
Well, they did beat Calgary. They got outshot badly in that hockey game, but Jake Allen certainly was up to the challenge and has had a decent season to this point. So I think a lot of the things that we said both before and after the game against Arizona sort of apply here. Montreal's a better team. They've got more points than the Coyotes do. But again, with where they are in their evolution, most of the things that they get come through hard work, and the Canucks have to be careful because the Coyotes came in here and actually got in on the forecheck, and I thought out-battled the Canucks for much of the night. Again, they just don't have the top-end talent the Canucks do, and Bo Horvat scoring twice, again, able to eke out a victory for the Canucks. So the same sort of things apply here. We talked about Suzuki and Caulfield. Those guys, they can be lethal if you hold them in check, though, and make other players on this Montreal lineup beat you, that's probably where you stand your best chance to get a result. So the Canucks have to be ready, get those work boots on, work boots with blades on the bottom of it. Is that how that works? Whatever the case, they got to be ready to battle in this hockey game and try to outwork the Montreal Canadiens, who are a long way from home.
All right. Who tonight do you think is going to do something in this game?
While he's been the talk of this town, not necessarily for the right reasons for the last 48 hours, but Brock Besser gets the chance that he's looking for. Scored in the third period, playing alongside Elias Pettersson, and he's going to start this game, as we mentioned, on the right side with Pettersson. Pettersson, the best playmaking center that the Canucks have, and we'll see if Brock Besser can pick up where he left off, but he also has to pick up where he left off. He got a promotion a couple of games ago and started a game on the top line with Miller and Horvat that lasted one period. He took a penalty. He didn't look particularly good. This is the chance he wants, and this is a chance that he's getting. So he has to do something, make the most of it. He did the other night. Turned into a good news story on that front because he hasn't scored many goals this season. But this is an opportunity for Brock Boeser. Let's see what he does with it. So, yeah, I'm looking at number 6 out there in Canuck Blue to do something to make it back-to-back victories for the home team tonight.
This is your chance to win a 2023 Wired Recon Series snowboard. Here's today's code word. Send it in to the Great Clips inbox at 778-402-9680. That'll get you into a draw to win this snowboard, and one entry per day, but get them in, improve those odds, just like I like to do with my Bodog Best Bet. The Canucks will try to improve their odds, get another win tonight of making the playoffs, and we'll see if they can do that with the Habs coming to town. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast presented by Bodog. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide, it's the show that always scores.